So here's the real question. How do dentists like you, who aren't willing to let insurance dictate how you will run your practice, who want to create incredibly profitable practices without sacrificing your time or sanity, how do you create the strategies to ensure your practice not only survives, but thrives in the 21st century? That's the blaring question, and Dr. Steve Schalintz is here to provide the answers. Welcome to Dental Practice Freedom Radio.
What is up, everybody? This is Dr. Steve Schalintz. I want to welcome you back to another episode of Dental Practice Freedom Radio. I have to apologize. It's been like 3 weeks since I've done a podcast episode, and I feel terrible about that. And a lot of things have happened since I've last talked to you guys. First of all, I came down with something. I don't know if it was allergies or flu or whatever it is. So I'm still kind of sounding a little bit stuffy. So I apologize. But I'm going to try to get my message across because if you guys remember, I was at Dentistry's Got Talent, which was kind of like a TED Talk style format for dental speakers across the country. It was a lot of fun. There was 24 of us. I unfortunately did not win, but that's okay. I met a lot of amazing people at that event, formed some amazing relationships, and it was a great experience for me because I've spoken before, but I haven't spoken like that. And it was a different style of format. I like to be a little bit more interactive when I'm speaking and get some audience engagement, but also, have hour or 2 hours to really create a story. And it was a little bit harder to do that in a 10-minute format. But and I wasn't necessarily speaking only to dentists. I was speaking to hygienists and assistants, and when you're doing that, you have to keep your message somewhat general and broad, and that can be a little bit difficult. But I had a great time. If you guys have not seen that event, Dentistry's Got Talent, it will be now, I think, an annual event. Elijah Desmond puts that on, and if you guys know Elijah, he's a phenomenal guy, great heart, and he also runs Smiles at Sea, which is a CE event where you can take your team, you can take yourself on a cruise, and you get CE events, CE credits. And I did that after, and again, just amazing people on that cruise. Had a great time. But I wanted to share an experience that I had while I was there. And this is like one of those vulnerability posts. You know how like some people, they love vulnerability posts because it creates engagement. So if you guys are listening to this, this is one of my vulnerability posts. So one of the things that I've always struggled with, even in the speaking realm, is I'm not the most polished speaker. And I've never really had a desire to become a more polished speaker. I want to be a little bit more raw and real and not, inflect my words like this and like this to create more engagement. That doesn't really seem feasible to me at this point in time in my life, or I don't think people respond to that type of message anymore. But what was interesting is one of the things that I've always struggled with is I will occasionally get really dry mouth if I'm nervous or if I have any type of, adrenaline, I don't know. And it happened to me even in high school football. So I used to be a quarterback. And so it's not necessarily nerves per se. It just happens. I just get dry mouth sometimes. And, one of the things that happened in high school as a quarterback is if it was a big play or something was happening or we're down, I would have occasionally lose my ability to call out plays. I literally could not talk. And I'd try to get the play out and I couldn't say it. So when you are in football, you have a wristband, right? So it'll have all the plays on it. So if it got really, really bad, I would just tell the huddle, like, listen, if I can't talk, we're in the middle of a drive and I can't take a timeout and get some water, I'm going to point at the play. Just read the play, okay? And then it's always going to be on one if I lose my voice. So I haven't had that happen in years. But I kid you not, when I was up on that stage, I was fine throughout the speech, but Elijah and Paul Homily was a judge and Laura Hatch was a judge, and they asked me questions, and I kid you not, I was petrified. All of a sudden, I had really bad dry mouth, and I could not talk. and in my voice. And I talked to people, and it didn't sound as bad in real life as it was in my head. It literally sounded in my head like I was having a stroke. I couldn't talk, right? So here I am trying to answer these questions that were actually very pertinent to what I do, an opportunity to talk about what I do and how I just started a team workshop and how I go into these practices and work with the team and how important that is in the creation of an authentic practice. And I can't even freaking talk, right? So at the very, very end, I knew, like, I was done in my speech in like 7 minutes. I wanted to keep it short. And I got done, and Elijah was asking me a question, and I was like, literally like, Elijah, you got to stop asking me questions, man. I literally can't talk. If you keep asking questions, I will not be able to speak, and we're just going to be looking at each other awkwardly. And I'm slurring my speech because I can't enunciate. I can't do anything. And I'm just sitting there going, please make this stop. And it was funny. So eventually I just said, Elijah, I know we're on live TV. Is there any way I can get some water, man? You know, you're in front of 400 people on Facebook are watching this video. And I'm like, dude, I need some water, and I need some water like right now. I can't talk. If you keep asking me questions, I'm going to need some water. So they got me some water. And so I was able to take a sip of water and say thank you to them before I got off. But what was so interesting about that, I was thinking, you know, there's always dental analogies and there's always things that I can take back to my practice. And that experience really did reinforce and teach me, you always have to be prepared, right? So I know now going forward, I will not do any speaking event where I don't have water access right next to me. I just won't. I won't embarrass myself that way. I know my body, and that I don't know if that's something you can necessarily prepare for, because I wasn't overtly nervous at the end of it. I was nervous because I couldn't talk anymore. And if you've ever been on stage and you can't talk, you can imagine how petrifying that actually is, especially when there was 400 people watching on Facebook Live. And here I am not being able to talk. And I said, well, I made a commitment at that point that if I can't have a glass of water next to me in case that ever does happen, I just won't speak at the event. It's just that simple. So in your practice, you're going to have situations that you know you have to prepare for. Whether it's the sales environment, whether it's doing a large complex case, you want to think through all scenarios in your head, and you have to know your own processes, and you have to know, like, if something goes wrong, are we going to be adequately prepared for this? And if the answer is no, you need to start to find solutions to make sure that you are prepared for these circumstances and situations. So, you know, in the practice itself, if you guys know what I talk about, I really focus on a lot of, you know, a few core elements in my training, Dental Sales Secrets. And then if I'm working with teams and doing team workshops on site, I'm focusing on vision, I'm focusing on clarity, but then I'm also focusing on putting the right systems in place and always being prepared to make sure that, you know how to handle objections, you know how to handle, patients that don't necessarily think the way that you think when you first meet them. And so, the moral of the story is, in every situation, the more prepared you are, the more successful you'll be. It's really that simple. So don't be sitting there and all of a sudden you have this unexpected thing come up and you have no way to handle it like me. Be a little bit more prepared in that situation, and your practice will start to thrive as a result of it. So hopefully you got some value out of this one. As always, go to dentalsalessecrets.com and it'll take you to my free training on increasing your case acceptance. And I thank you guys so much for the support. I'm going to be knocking out a couple podcast episodes here in the next week or so. And so getting back to giving you value, and just keep leaving reviews and ratings for me. That'd be fantastic. And like I said, you can always check out dentalsalessecrets.com for your free training on how to massively increase your case acceptance. And most of you guys actually know where to reach me. So if you guys have any questions about some of the team workshop stuff that I'm doing now, I'm getting a lot of great feedback on that. And so, that is one of my passions for this year and next year, is really getting into these offices and helping these teams go where they want to go. So hopefully you guys have a great day, have a great week, and talk to y'all at the next episode.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode on Dental Practice Freedom Radio with Dr. Steve Schlitz. We'll see you on the next episode.